Okay, we'll start down here on the right to Bob, with Bob.
Hey, Bob. After taking down a couple of 100-plus win teams, how much more true inner belief does your team have in itself? And also, coming into this series, not as much the underdog as you were in the previous two. Does that change the mindset at all?
Yeah, I don't think it matters. They're all good teams we're playing, and these guys are playing great right now. So, got our work cut out for us just as much as we did the last couple of series. But we kind of try to more concentrate on what we're doing, our style of play, and kind of go from there.
How much respect do you have for what they accomplished also coming out of the wild card situation? And how different is that team than the one you played at a couple times earlier this season?
Yeah, different, doing some things a little differently. Certainly have some starters to get your attention, some bullpen guys. I think they're getting Robertson back too. They can shorten games there. They have power. They run the bases. They steal bases. They can beat you in different ways. So we have to be ready for them on any number of levels.
Okay, we're going to go down here to Adrian.
Bob, have you had time to reflect on how important it was to win that series in 4 the way you did and can kind of align your pitching now? And also with the potential for 5 games in 5 days from 3 through 7, how does that change what you might
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I've never seen that before. So, both teams have to be cognizant of that as far as your pitching in a 5-game series. A little less patient in a 7-game series, especially when you have 5 in a row. You're going to have a little bit more patience, potentially. So just a little bit of a different dynamic as far as that goes. It is nice to be able to line our pitching up and, having 2 days off. One, we get a full day off and then work out. But, this lineup tends to tax your pitchers regardless. I'm just glad we didn't have to go to a 5th game where we, had to use Darvish and then our bullpen again.
Okay, far left.
Hey, Bob, Darvish just said that he was going to be ready for Game 5, and part of the thinking in the conversations you had was he was going to be mad if he didn't get Game 5. So I'm wondering how that played out on your
mad. Okay. I don't know how to answer that.
Okay,
he was going to get Game 5, so he wouldn't have been mad.
Okay, we're going to go down here to Claudia in the first row. Right here.
Bob, you got some great starting pitching, and they did such a great job, especially like Musgrove. Do you expect some of the pitchers go deeper like him?
It just depends on how it plays out. We obviously monitor stuff. We're deep in the season. They have a lot of innings under their belt. We have a pretty good bullpen. There's certainly take a look at how many times around the lineup that we expect somebody to be effective. So I don't think at this point in time we're just going in to push. Yet, there's more games, and 5 in a row and potentially taxes your bullpen a little bit. But I think it's just more game to game, how a particular game goes, and we'll look at what we need to do the next day.
Okay, we're going to go down here on the left, Tim.
Bob, in talking about 5 and 5, you mentioned the word patience, and I'm wondering, obviously we probably all thought the same thing in terms of pitching, but what's that going to actually look like maybe in the first 2 or 3 days of the series?
Well, you have 2 and then you have an off day. So that's a little bit different. It's the latter part I was more referencing as far as how you have to go about that. That's kind of more regular season a feel to it being 5 games in a row. So potentially 5 games in a row. So, the first 2 are going to kind of dictate how the rest of them go. I think, with the pitching matchups in the first 2 games, runs could be at a premium and might have to look to do things a little bit differently. And then as the series goes on a little bit longer, maybe you're a little bit more patient and maybe looking for a big inning or something like that. But, that's just off the top of my head trying to forecast where this goes.
AJ?
Bob, I asked some version of this question the other day, but it feels more applicable now with Manny and Bryce playing each other. What do you remember about that 2018-19 offseason? And kind of do you think that the results of that offseason are kind of bearing fruit now this week?
I don't remember a ton about it. I know that Manny came here and he went there, but they're 2 premier players that both teams revolve around. So I think the impact that he's had there is similar to the impact that Manny's had here. When you're looking at how you're pitching to lineups, those are the first 2 guys that pop out, and you try to limit the damage to those guys. Sometimes that's easier said than done, but I think there are a lot of similarities on the respect they get and how they've impacted these organizations from that point till now.
Okay, gonna go right here, Jesse, in the middle.
Bob, with all your postseason experience, Arizona, Oakland, here now, have you changed the way you think or approach anything, whether it's workouts and off days and travel, in-game stuff, just as you've had more experience?
Well, yeah, in Oakland, a lot of them are one-game wild card games, so that's a little bit different. But you want to try to keep the same type of pace, yet you understand that this deep into the season, you also need to give them a little bit of a break. So I think it's about being ready from 7 to 10 or whatever the time, the games are. Cutting back a little bit, like we had a full day off yesterday, which I think we'll benefit from, work out today and go forward. But you have to understand that these guys have been going at it for a long period of time here, and you have to be cognizant of that as much as you maybe throw at them before games.
Okay, we're gonna go far right over there, Darren.
Hey, Bob, both these teams have a fair share of star power. For whatever reason, it kind of took them to this point in the season to really hit their stride. A lot of kind of desperate types of games late down the stretch, and now they've kind of fed off the energy of their home crowds. Do you sense some similarities in kind of your paths here, and what could all of that, how could all of that influence this series?
Couldn't be more, same for us. Everything that you said there is basically the same for us. So similar type teams, both got here the exact same way, having to play, games that felt like postseason games at the end. Wasn't particularly easy. Both teams probably benefited from that it was hard getting in. And both teams have played really well against teams that, won divisions for the most part. Mets didn't win their division, but they won 101 games. So a lot of similarities across the board in these teams, not only in, what rosters look like, rotation looks like, but certainly how they've played it, we've played as well.
Okay, down here in front, Sam.
Bob, Will Myers, his role from the time the season started through the injuries, through the trades, is kind of evolved as this season has progressed. What's been his impact on this club, both on and off the field?
He's always had a big impact here. It's just, this year he missed a lot of games, so he wasn't around as much, as far as being on the field. But, Will is a terrific athlete. I mean, if you're around long enough, he runs well. He throws well. He plays multiple positions. He's got power, and the guy really here that's been here the longest. So he's very impactful in the clubhouse, on the field. Be able to do different things this year, I think, has been inspiring for him to be able to help the team out in different ways. And I think that's speaks to who he is as a player. That he doesn't get caught up too much in personal numbers. It's all about how he can help the team. Whether he's been pinch hit for, he's never had a problem with that. He playing first base, playing the outfield, moving around. Sometimes that's difficult, but he really enjoys that. So he's a big personality in our team. Apparently in downtown after the games and everything too, from what I understand. So they like him here in San Diego.
Okay, we'll take one last one down here, Tim.
Bob, I think there may be people who tune into this series and marvel at what you're able to do without Fernando. I'm wondering what, over the course of the season, that obstacle, how you sort of maneuvered around that, and who has filled in, and perhaps what has actually been beneficial from it.
Well, we had no choice. There have been a couple different letdowns based on the fact that we thought we were getting him back, and then we didn't. We were looking forward to that, as a team, that type of caliber of player, which is very rare that somebody has a skill set like that. So maybe overcome some disappointment as far as him not coming back, but certainly the trades impacted kind of what our team looks like. Bring in a couple more caliber type players, which enhanced our team as we went along. But I think the team managed the kind of the drama and some of the stuff that revolved around the Fernando situation, and handled it really well. He handled it well. I mean, as far as when he came back and spoke about it. So from that point on, we've just kind of moved on and kind of felt his support. I text with him kind of every other day or so, and he's very supportive right now. So it's just something we've had to deal with.